G'day, this is Mr. Thompson. I'm going to show you how to build your solar car. I'm excited about this one. This one is our third year that we've built these solar cars, and I think this is the perhaps the easiest to build, but one of the better solar cars that we've made. So I think you'll enjoy this.
All right, first I'm going to get these melty beads, and I'm going to put them in the side of the core flute. So I'm going to count, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go to the fourth hole. It doesn't matter which hole as long as you're consistent. So I'm going to just poke that in there like that. Make it so it's flush, maybe sticking out just a little bit. Do the same on the other side. Now again, it's important that I go in the same hole. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in the fourth hole. There we go, that one in there. Okay, and that will be useful when I put my axle in like that. Okay, but before I do that, I'm going to do the other side as well. So again, I'm going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth hole. Oop. Put that one in there. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth hole there. Alright, like that. Okay. Alright, the next thing I want to do is I want to start to build my axles. So I've got my wheels here, and I'm going to put my axles in here. Now, before I start with the wheels, with the axles, look for a good set of axles. So these ones are good. I can tell they're good because they roll nicely. If they skid or they wobble, then they're bent. If you ever bend your axle, then it's not going to be any good. Your car will go very slow. So just be careful not to bend it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a hammer, and I'm going to put the axle into here and just gently, keeping it nice and straight, tap it until I can feel that it's gone all the way in. All right. Now I'm going to take one of these spacers, these orange spacers. I'll put it there so you can see what it is. Okay, so I'm going to put a spacer. I'm going to put that on the bench there, and I'm going to poke it with the axle. That's the easiest way to get it on. So just poke it like that, and then using my thumbnails, hope you've got good thumbnails, I'm going to push the spacer down. Now I want to take it down not all the way to the wheel, but close to the wheel. So that's probably, I don't know, that's probably 1/2 centimetre or so, with a little gap there, because if you push it right up against the wheel, it's very hard to then pull out. Okay, now the axle needs to poke through those beads that we put in before, and then we need to put the washers or the spacers on the other side. So I'm going to get another spacer, and again, being careful not to bend anything. Again, I don't want to bend my core flute, and I don't want to bend my axle at all, so just being careful not to bend anything. Poke my spacer in like that, and then with my thumbnails again, I'm going to push that down, and I'm going to leave a little gap. I'm going to come pretty close, but maybe leave about 1 millimetre gap, just so there's a little bit of play, but not much. Okay, I'm going to do the same with that. Now I'm going to put the other wheel on, and again, it's always best if you put your wheel on the bench and poke your axle into it. And here I might use my hammer again, just gently tap, again being careful not to use so much force that I bend the axle. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now there's our front wheels done. Okay, back wheels. So back wheels are very similar, so let's do that again. I'm going to put my wheels like that. Now, instead of using a spacer, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my drive gear. So I've got a drive gear, and it's got to be a gear that doesn't spin on the axle. It's got to grip the axle tight. So I'm going to put the little side, the small cog, towards the wheel that I've already put on. So the flat side is facing up. So I'm going to again put that on, and I'm going to be careful not to bend your axle. And again, I'm going to take it down. In fact, this one I'm going to push it all the way down, so it's touching the wheel, all the way down, so it's touching the wheel there. Okay. Now I need to put this into my. Let me just see, I might need another, no actually I don't think I will need another spacer, so I didn't use a spacer on that side. Depending on the width of your core flute, you may find that you need another spacer in there, or you may not. I don't think I'm going to need it. So let me just put that in like that. Okay, now again I'm going to put these wheels here over the edge of the bench so that I'm not bending anything, and poke that into there. Okay, and now use my thumbnails again. Let's move around here so you can see. Use my thumbnails and push down. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's difficult to do it. You don't want to use too much force, otherwise you will end up bending something. So just enough force. Okay, and I've got a little bit of play there. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit tighter than that. So there's just so it can spin freely. Spins freely. But if you go too tight, then of course it'll jam up and it won't move freely. So again, I'm going to just use my hammer there. And beautiful. Okay, so if it doesn't spin freely, you might have to pull everything out a little bit, but, and if it's got too much wobble, then that's no good either. So I think that's done pretty well there. Okay, so I won't need that one. Okay, now I need to put my motor on. So I'm going to mount my motor just there. Now the trick with mounting the motor is these gears need to mesh. So this spindle gear needs to mesh with the drive gear. If it's too far out, if they're not pushing against each other hard enough, this one will skip, and this will spin madly, and this one won't spin at all. If they're too tight, too close to each other, then there'll be too much friction, there'll be too much force, and it won't be able to spin freely. So you want a bit of pressure pushing this gear against that gear, but not too much. It might take a few goes. So I'm going to get some double-sided tape. There we go. Get some double-sided tape, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off. I don't need much, just about as long as my motor, or thereabouts. So there we go. So it's about as long as my motor. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to work out where's my motor going to go. It's going to go about there. Okay, now actually you'll also notice, here's a couple of other mistakes we can make with this one. You want to be careful that the centers of your gears line up. So if you've got your gears like that, then what's going to happen is that when it wobbles a bit, it'll wobble out like that, and you won't get any grip. And similarly, that way you don't want it to wobble too far that way. So I'm lining them up so that the middle of the gears is lined up nicely, and that's where I need to put my double-sided tape. So, making a mess of that. Open it back up again. Okay, so I'm going to put my double-sided tape there. So let's take my motor out and put that there like that. Being careful not to push too hard because I don't want to bend my core flute, I don't want to bend my axles. Okay, so now I'm going to peel off the top part of my double-sided tape. So that was the sticky part, so it's now stuck on, okay, and now I can put my motor on. So again, being careful, it might take a couple of goes, and you can do it a couple of times, it's okay, but I'm going to see if I can get it right first time. There, I think that's pretty good actually, and I can tell, if I can get those wires out of the way, if I spin my wheel there, yeah, that's spinning nicely. I think that's pretty good. Okay, all right, we're almost done. So now I'm going to get my solar panel. Now, with your solar panels, be very careful. These joints here, and here, where the wires connect to the solar panel, are quite fragile. So if you go wobbling those a lot, or if you go moving them, or carrying the solar panel by the wires, then they will break, and I'll have to fix them. So please try not to break them. Some of them will break, that's okay, we'll get them fixed, easily done, but it just means you won't have a solar panel until next lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the solar panel on like that, and see how I've coiled the wires underneath. By coiling the wires underneath there, that sort of holds everything together rather than having wires hanging out all over the place. So I think I want it about there. Okay, so I'm just going to get some blue tack. And in fact I might just stretch that out a little bit, some blue tack like that, make sure I've got enough wires like that, and again I'm going to use a little bit of force, but not too much force because I don't want to bend my core flute. A little bit of force to mount my solar panel there onto my core flute. Okay, now I'm going to connect the wires up. That one there and that one there. Now, it sort of doesn't matter which wire you connect to which side because if you connect it one way, and if you want your car to go in that direction, but when we take it out of the sun, maybe it'll go that direction. If it does that, all you have to do is swap the connections around and it'll change the direction of the car. All right, let's give it a quick test. It's a nice sunny day. Oh, okay, you can see that's moving along quite nicely. Put him on the ground. Beautiful. Doesn't like the shade. Yeah, it's going to go in. There we go. Off it goes. Thank you very much.